then candidate Barack Obama in July 2008, quote, "It's like these guys, Republicans, take pride in being ignorant. They should go talk to some experts and actually make a difference," close quote.
Well, talking to experts does make a difference. Many of the great disasters of our time have been committed by experts. You may remember FDR's brain trust, which according to later studies prolonged the Depression by several years. The whiz kids in the Pentagon under McNamara who managed to mess up the Vietnam War. You can run through an impressive list of things, of disasters brought about by people with very high IQs.
All right. Segment one, the species of the intellectual. When you refer to intellectuals in society, whom do you mean?
I mean people whose end products are ideas. There are other people with great intelligence whose end products are things like the Salk vaccine.
A research scientist is not necessarily an intellectual.
That's right.
An engineer isn't necessarily an intellectual.
That's right. Because the engineer is judged by the end product, which is not simply ideas. If he builds a building that collapses, it doesn't matter how brilliant his idea was, he's ruined. Conversely, if an intellectual who's brilliant has an idea for rearranging society, and that ends in disaster, he pays no price at all.
It is far easier to again, I'm quoting from Intellectuals in Society, it is far easier to concentrate power than to concentrate knowledge.
Yes.
What bearing has that got on the influence that intellectuals have over society as a whole?
Because they believe that since knowledge is concentrated in people like themselves, what needs to be done is, in a quote from President Obama, is to put more power in the hands of the experts.
So the intellectual temptation is to say, look, we already know everything.
That's right.
If only we also had
the power.
All the power,
yes,
everything would be just fine.
Yes.
And what's wrong with that view? Why isn't that a sensible view?
One, they don't know everything. They don't know 1/10 of everything. In fact, I argue that they probably don't know 1% of the consequential knowledge in a society.
What is the vision to which contemporary intellectuals subscribe?
That intellectuals should influence, if not control, the kinds of decisions that are made in society, and more especially that they should promote the transfer of decisions from the masses to those who have, quote, more intellect. And given how I conceive of knowledge being its distribution, that would mean transferring decisions from where there's 99% of the knowledge to where there's 1% of the knowledge. And against that background, it's not at all surprising that things like central planning simply don't produce as good results as allowing all the millions of people to react in the marketplace.
Again, Intellectuals in Society, there is a spontaneous demand from the larger society for the end products of engineering, medical, and scientific professions, but the demand for public intellectuals is largely manufactured by the public intellectuals themselves.
Yes.
Explain that. How do they manufacture demand for their own services?
Well, one thing is by making alarming predictions, offering solutions to our problems. And if they didn't do that, if Noam Chomsky had just kept on stating in linguistics, neither of us probably would have ever heard of Noam Chomsky. He would have been just as famous around the world among linguists, but nobody else would have heard of him.
Last question.
Yeah.
If you had a sentence or two to say to the cabinet assembled around President Obama, and this cabinet holds glittering degrees from one impressive institution after another, if you could beseech them to conduct themselves in one particular way between now and the time they all leave office, what would you say?
Actually, I would say only one word: goodbye, because I know there's no point talking to them. It's like asking me what would I say to the head of the mafia to get him to give up crime. There wouldn't be a thing I could say to him.
All right.
He would say, "Give up crime? I make 1,000 times what you do. Why should I give up crime?"
Dr. Thomas Sowell, author of Intellectuals in Society, thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you.
I'm Peter Robinson for Uncommon Knowledge and the Hoover Institution. Thanks for joining us.